Hello, this is Sam Lewis. I'm the Director of Communications and Engagement at Ragdale. Hello, Barry. Hello, everyone out there. Glad that you all are here tonight. We're really excited for our first spring showcase event. And we have been relatively new to streaming in general at Ragdale. And so, there were forces that made that a necessity. And it's something that I personally love. And so it may be something that's a little bit unusual for you in relationship to Ragdale, but we've been doing it for over a year now. And we've been really happy with the results. And so we're going to have a really fabulous event for you tonight featuring all Ragdale alums. And that first piece by Amy Jenkins called Tulip is such a beautiful piece and obviously very timely as it relates to spring. But I think the side with the growth and the side with the death, I think is very apropos and very poignant for what we've been through over the past year plus at this point. And I know a lot of us have lost people or lost things or lost opportunities. And some people have gained things and become closer with people and have gained opportunities through this event. And so I thought that was a very apropos way to begin the evening. Hello, Oliver. I see Oliver out there. So I am not alone in my hosting duties tonight. I am so fortunate to be teamed up with the amazing, talented Rebecca Makkai, who is a author and Ragdale trustee and an alum as well. And so I'm going to bring her on and so she can say hello.
Hi, Rebecca. Hey, Sam. Hi, everyone. We're thrilled to do this. I think that the one way that people can really experience Ragdale, other than staying there, is to see some of the work that comes out of it. And ultimately, that's what Ragdale is. It is an incubator for the arts. It's a place where people might go with an idea, with a work plan, and come out with work that is more protected, pure, more what they want to do than anything that they could have done out in the world. And that's what we're going to see tonight. All three of these artists are people whose work I know. Amy is someone I got to stay at Ragdale with way back. Oliver is someone whose work I've gotten to know just as it's been shared with us on the Ragdale board. And Jean is someone I knew long before she ever stayed at Ragdale and have been admiring her work. But this is, it's like seeing a garden and you look at it and you go, okay, this looks really cool. When you actually get the bouquet or the salad of what's been made there, you go, okay, I understand now. I understand how great this is. I understand everything that went into it. And that's what we're hoping to do tonight.
Absolutely. So there are a few housekeeping things that I wanted to take care of before we get started. So namely, I want you all to have fun out there, and I want you to get in the chat and comment and let us know what you're doing and how you're enjoying the evening, and big upping and virtually high-fiving everyone who presents tonight. So that is your absolute duty. But I would be remiss if I did not thank all of the people besides Rebecca and myself who helped put this thing together, which is the vast majority of the Ragdale staff, the Ragdale trustees, the people on the Novel Affair Events Committee, and our two great partners for this event, North Shore Distillery and Lake Forest Bookstore. So yay for them. They have always been exceptional partners and will continue to be, is my hope. And so we had some grab and go options for this evening. If you were able to take part in them, we had some grab and go cocktails from North Shore Distillery, and we had copies of one of our guests this evening, Jean Hanff Korelitz, her book You Should Have Known, which of course has become this smash HBO series called The Unknowing.
You were
that was right before The Undoing. And so yes, and so want to thank them and get that out of the way for sure, all day, every day. And I will put links to their establishments in there. And so if you comment or when you comment, Oh, yes, there's one right there. I will be doing things like this, like showing your comment on the screen. And Deborah's out there enjoying that Spanish gin and tonic from North Shore. So yay for Deborah. And so I will be doing that. So I will hopefully will encourage you to make some great comments. We're also, and we appreciate everyone who's donated. I know the tickets were donation based, and we totally appreciate everyone who donated tonight. And there was a $20 suggested, and some people went way above that, and I want to thank you for doing that. But even if you just donated $1, which was the minimum, every dollar counts, as they say all the time on NPR. Like every dollar helps, because we're trying to do this thing to support artists. I mean, that is what we're all about. And during the pandemic, when we couldn't have people on campus as much, we started really revving up the virtual engine so that we can try to support artists that way. And we'll do whatever we can to support artists on campus, off campus, in a virtual space, in person, wherever. So that is what we're all about. And hopefully that's what you're about, and that's why you're here. So we want to move this show along. So I want to get to this exciting programming. And Rebecca and I will be back later with big announcements, because we're going to announce tonight the date and the lineup for Novel Affair 2021. I'm really excited. I hope you're excited, because it's been a long time coming. I realized it hit me today, Rebecca, that Novel Affair, it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Since we've had Novel Affair. I mean, we had the preview party last year, and that's about as far as we got before the whole world fell apart, of course. And so
yeah, it was April 30th of 2019 that we were all together, and it was a lovely April 30th snowstorm. And it was a great day, and we didn't know how lucky we were. We were there complaining about the snow as if that mattered.
Absolutely. And it was beautiful, but it was unseasonable. And that was before I was actually on staff, and I was just a happy alum to be able to attend that event. And that's actually where I found out about the position that I occupy today. So that's always been a special day for me.
I love it.
Yeah. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be near the end, where we're going to announce that. And I didn't let people know this, but everyone who registered for tonight's event will get extra early bird access to the dinner tickets and the cocktail reception tickets when they become available later on. So consider yourselves lucky for that. So without further ado, I'm going to get into the programming. We're going to have some, not next, but we're going to also have some staff updates. So we're going to sprinkle in some staff updates from people like my man Regin Gloria, Amy Sinclair, and Roland Kula are going to provide some updates in their various sections. And then we're going to have a performance of works by composer Oliver Caplan, who is just a beautiful and amazing person. You've already seen some work by Amy Jenkins, but we're going to show some additional work from her, as well as the short interview that I did with her earlier. And then we're going to have a live conversation between Rebecca and Jean Hanff Korelitz, and that's near the end. And so you definitely don't want to miss that. So everyone sit back. If you're streaming this, if you're casting this on your television, turn up the volume to put on the surround sound. Wherever you are, hopefully you can grab a glass of wine or another beverage of choice, iced tea for those non-drinkers out there maybe, and sit back and enjoy. And we're happy to have you here. Hey everyone, I'm here with Regin Gloria, who is Ragdale's Director of Education. How's it going, Regin?
It's great, Sam. Thanks.
So I just wanted to let everyone get in on a quick update of what's going on with the Ragdale in Schools programs. And so if you can kind of enlighten us, we'd appreciate it.
Sure, Sam. So I'm super excited about what's happening with school programs this year, even with the pandemic happening. We've got High School Arts Week happening in mid-July, and we're offering all sorts of courses for high school students, writing, visual arts, and all sorts of art and ecology related courses. And then we're also offering for fifth and sixth graders, a plant camp. And that's a collaboration with Elwha Farms and Lake Forest Open Lands Association. So we're super excited to be offering those programs. Plus, we're doing all sorts of programs with schools who are in session. So throughout the rest of the school year and leading up into the fall, we're going to be bringing some of our fellows and our artists to present programs of their work into the schools in person. So we're excited to have all of that happening with our school programs.
That sounds really exciting. And so, of course, we could always use your support, everyone out there in internet land, for these programs. And so we're going to have the donation link in the chat. And so this is one of the big things that you can support with your generous donations. So thanks, Regin, and look forward to all of these great programs that you have coming up this year. And we'll see you soon, of course.
Yeah.
Hello, Ragdale family. My name is Oliver Caplan. I am a composer, and I'm also the artistic director of Boston-based Juventus New Music Ensemble. I was last at Ragdale in February 2020, right on the cusp of COVID, but having no idea what we were in for in the coming year. So you can probably imagine with each passing month how I've become even more grateful for the time I had at Ragdale. And tonight I'm here to introduce two of my works, both performed by Juventus on our March 20th concert, Small Bear, Large Telescope. The first piece is entitled Luna Stella Fuga, and it is inspired by the night sky in New Hampshire. And the second piece is entitled Connect All, We All Connect, and it sets poetry by master palindromist Barry Duncan, probing the strength and fragility of human connection, which is something that's certainly been on my mind extra this year, and I imagine on all of yours as well. So I hope you enjoy the music, and thank you so much to Ragdale for everything you do to support artists and keep our community connected during this challenging year.
I believe they do. Is all a tone we bond know? Be we not always I? La 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 Traded I a tip, it aided art. Connect all, we all connect. Connect all, we all connect. Connect all, we all connect. I too newer us, song I say, name not one. Some it saved, am I made vast? I'm us. Wonder set one note so low, set one note shared now. Do they believe I state? Splendid a human
Hello, everyone. Sam Lewis here again, and I'm joined this time by Roland Kula, Ragdale's interim executive director of property and residencies. Roland joined Ragdale or rejoined Ragdale in January of 2021, and he has a long history with the organization in many different capacities. And so we're happy to have him back in this capacity this time. So how are you doing, Roland?
I'm doing fine, having a good time.
That's great. So this time around, in this iteration of your experience with Ragdale, you're overseeing the exciting construction project of the new studio house of dance and music, and we're all really eagerly awaiting the finishing of that construction. And so if you would, tell us a little bit about that project and where it is today.
Well, it really kind of took a long time to get going, I think about 5 years, but finally, it's also meandered a bit in terms of the site, but it ended up, good news, bad news, it ended up on the site of the Friend Studio, which was demolished in January, so they could start building the new studio. But the new studio is progressing very rapidly, which is the good news. And today, actually, they're starting to put portions of the roof on. The walls are pretty much up. And I think the big roof trusses to do the roof on the rest of the building will be coming in later on this week. So they're targeting probably mid-September for completion, and they're pretty much on schedule. And that's also in conjunction with some other possibilities for expanding the campus, which would allow us to do some major renovations of the barn house, which has needed some help for a while. So I think that's also kind of on my plate, and we're looking at all those options.
That's amazing. And I know I'm really excited about it. It's onward and upward. And this is fortunately, unfortunately, a good time for all of these things to be taking place during this pandemic when things are a little bit quieter around campus. And so, yeah, we appreciate the update, and we will see you around.
Certainly will.
All right. Thanks, Roland.
Bye now.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome, Amy.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. Great to see you.
Yeah.
So I'm here joined with you, Amy Jenkins, a Ragdale alumna, and also an American artist from Peterborough, New Hampshire, who is recognized for her work in video installation and documentary film. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
So, when were you in residence at Ragdale, and how was that experience for you?
It feels like forever ago now. My gosh, but forever on my heart. It was, I believe, 2013 or 14, and it was fall, and I was working on my film Instructions on Parting, which is a feature documentary about the cycle of mortality and birth and death in my family, which is now streaming at dafilms.com, and which premiered 2 years ago at the Museum of Modern Art Doc Fortnight in New York.
Wonderful. So I'm assuming you had some productive time at Ragdale?
It was so needed. I was really just beginning to edit that film, and the film is of a personal nature about my family, so I just really needed to be alone and spend literally 12 hours a day looking at footage and taking nice long walks in the field, and then to clear my head, and then going back in sometimes till 2 a.m. and watching more footage. And it was just that cycle every day. But it sounds grueling, but it was exhilarating, and it's exactly what I needed.
Amazing. So thank you so much for sharing 2 pieces of your work for this spring showcase.
Sure.
For those who may not know, you watched one as you entered the showcase this evening, a beautiful piece, Untitled, featuring tulips. And then we are also going to see, coming up right after this short interview, your pieces called Wishes. And so would you like to talk briefly about both of those?
Sure, yeah. The tulip piece is now titled Samsara, which is the Buddhist concept of the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. It's a new piece, which is currently on exhibit at the Brattleboro Museum in Vermont. And it was made, it's a compilation of over 200,000 still images where I took tulips that I planted in the fall in a container and put in my basement, let them overwinter, and then brought them up and photographed them on an automated platform every 6 seconds, 24 hours a day for 36 days. And then animated those stills. So it's just, if I hope you did get to see it at the beginning. It's a kind of beautiful cycle of the tulip's birth and then their kind of exquisite process of dying, and then the film, if you were to see it in person at the museum, would repeat, so that there was a never-ending cycle of the flowers blooming and dying and blooming and dying.
Yeah, I think that that's a really good analogy for the times that we're living in right now. And so I thought that it was really fitting to play that as people entered. And not to mention it has tulips and we're in spring. And so all things flowers are beautiful. And so thank you for that. And then the piece Wishes. Now it seems like to me, and I'm a true novice at your work, but it seems like you like this kind of time lapse, this over time view of things. And so talk to me a little bit about Wishes.
Absolutely. It's true that much of my work is what I call durational in nature, that I film for many, many years to show the evolution of something. And so in the case of Wishes, it features my son, a decade of his birthday wishes, from age 5 to 15. And you really see the evolution of his gender identity through those years. Wishes is a 5-minute, almost what I would call character intro, because Adam and I are now working on a feature film together called Adam's Apple. And that will essentially be the story of our family and gender, his generation. We hope to finish that film probably by 2023 or 2024 at the latest. I most definitely will need some more time at a residency to go through those hundreds of hours of footage. But if you'd like to know more about Adam's Apple, you can visit adamsapplefilm.com.
That's amazing. And so, you know, there's always a space in Lake Forest, Illinois for you. So always keep that in mind.
Oh,
So
thank
you, Amy. I really appreciate it. And I know everyone's going to enjoy or have been enjoying your work and will enjoy the piece that we're going to play coming up. So I thank you for your time and hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much, Sam. Yes, enjoy the spring showcase.
Superman is a man.
Yep.
Are you a man?
Yes.
What's it like being a Superman?
Good.
Why do you want to be a Superman?
Because I don't like being a girl.
Why don't you like being a girl?
Because it's embarrassing.
Why is it embarrassing being a girl?
I don't know, but I wanted to be a boy when I got born. Out of your tummy? I'm trying to be a boy that's keeping the secret that I'm a girl, and I'm telling all my friends that nobody know I'm a girl, and I'm making them think that I'm a boy. It's actually quite working. Happy birthday to me, I'm 103, I'm still in high school, and I want my mommy.
Okay, here we go.
Happy birthday, dear Audrey. Happy birthday.
What do you think you want to be when you grow up?
Let's see. I want to be a painter who travels around the world in my own private airplane.
Yay.
What do you think you're going to be doing 10 years from now?
Become an actor.
Mom, I am wearing shaving cream. My name is Adam. I am 12 years old, and I'm a boy. Yay, I'm a teenager.
What do you want to happen in your 13th year?
For my dad to start calling me Adam, because pretty much everyone else already calls me Adam, but except for my dad.
Happy birthday, dear Adam. Happy birthday to you. I got the candle in the face. Everywhere to the Adam.
It would be cool to have an Adam's apple too. Some people find them really weird, but I find them really masculine, and that's just, some other masculine trait that I could have. They're nice. I like them. Everyone who gets Adam's apples are more manly. And if I'm on testosterone, it'll grow even more. That'll be cool.
Happy birthday, dear Adam.
Woo! All right, happy birthday.
Woohoo!
All right,
Oh my God,
15.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
A musician. A male musician. And tall. I want to be tall.
Happy birthday to me, I'm 103.
Hello, this is Sam Lewis, Director of Communications and Engagement at Ragdale, and I'm here with Amy Sinclair, the Residency Manager. How are you doing, Amy?
Really good. How are you, Sam?
I'm doing great. So just to give people a quick update, let us know what's the latest going on with the residency program at Ragdale.
Sure. We currently have 2 artists staying at Ragdale at a time for 2-week intervals. So artists have their own spaces at Ragdale that are very independent. So we can host artists at Ragdale as safely as possible. Artists are welcome to use the spaces that are assigned to them, but they also have access to the outdoor spaces where they can socially distance and meet the artists that are currently in session with them. Because vaccines are becoming more widely available, we're feeling very optimistic about the possibility of bringing more artists back as safely as possible in the near future. So we're reinventing ourselves yet again to welcome artists safely back to Ragdale. And we're really excited about the possibility of being in community with other artists in the same space.
I know that capacity is limited right now, but there is one constant, which is great, and that's the food of Chef Linda. So I know that those residents are really enjoying the special touches that they're getting from her on a more individualized basis, but I'm sure they're missing the community gathering of everyone at the big table every night.
That's for sure. Right now, Linda is hand delivering dinners in essentially baskets to their front door. So I think it makes the artists feel very special to be taken care of in this way. Artists are provided their own kitchens to use for breakfast and lunch, but that dinner meal delivered by a familiar face, Chef Linda, is really special.
There's also these quarterly open studio events. So tell me a little bit more about that.
So residents really look forward to the opportunity to share their work in progress or completed with their fellow residents. And that opportunity typically happens in person around a fireplace. And this is an opportunity to do that, to have that shared communal moment.
In a virtual space for a time that is needed. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks, Amy. I know you're super busy running around. Even with just 2 residents, there's always a lot of work to do. So we appreciate you taking time to speak with us and looking forward to hopefully seeing some people on campus during the Ring this summer.
Yes, that's for sure. Thanks, Sam.
All right, thanks. Oh, wow. So amazing.
This is why, okay, so this is why it's not the same if you just checked yourself into a hotel for 2 weeks and tried to do your art. Because when you're at Ragdale, you're seeing people do things like that, and you're around the dinner table with them, and there's this alchemy. There's also really good food. But there's this creative alchemy of being in conversation. And I can tell Amy exactly when she was at Ragdale, it was 2014, because that's when I was there with her. And I was seeing not these pieces, but Instructions on Parting, which is the piece she was talking about that just came out. But she was already talking about all this stuff with her son. We were seeing just the very first bits of it. And to see the evolution of someone's work is, it's immeasurable, because you're just so often working alone in the dark,
Absolutely. I've had, those same conversations while I was in residence, but also those same conversations while I was on staff and sharing lunch with folks, passing people in the hallways, going to their open studios and so forth. And it's just been truly inspiring for me. And you see why people fall in love with the place. And we're trying to give you a piece of that tonight here virtually, because we will be opening our doors safely very soon. I know we have one more virtual event next month featuring Oliver Caplan, who you just saw in an amazing performance with his ensemble. But Oliver Caplan will be in conversation with Scott Irely. And so 2 composers mixing it up. I think is going to be a wonderful, and that's in May. And so more information about that coming soon. And then we're going to shift to in-person things with the Ragdale Ring. And we will be taking Ragdale Talks, where Rebecca is a frequent and gracious contributor. We will be taking that live to the Ragdale Ring like we did last year, where you were in conversation with Michael Zapata.
Yeah.
And that was a fantastic conversation. And so look forward to those. I've already booked those events as well. And check out my notes here. So like I said, May, Oliver Caplan and Scott Irely. June, live, Ellen Bloom Barish in conversation with Valerie Wallace. July, Jill Wine-Banks, in conversation with Rita Dragonette, who might be in the audience today. I know she bought a ticket, Rita did. So Rita, if you're out there, hello, can't wait until July. And then August, Riva Leher, and then Rebecca's coming back to be in conversation with her after a hiatus where you're gonna get out of town and hopefully decompress a bit.
Yeah, a little bit. And then, is this when we're allowed to talk about
This is the moment.
Okay, so as we said, it's been 2 years since there was a Novel Affair. Those of you who know Novel Affair, it's our signature big event, bringing primarily writers but other artists to town in private dinners, in a big cocktail party. What we have lined up is we have a date for this fall, and what we're trying to do is have the big cocktail party at Shore Acres Country Club, have the individual dinners that everyone loves, where you go off with a couple of artists in a private home, you have a catered dinner. You get a lot of creative minds working on this, and we have so many backup plans for every possible eventuality. But we're really hopeful, we're really optimistic that this is going to work in a really safe way and just be, for some people, maybe the first thing that they do this fall that's indoors, who knows, but we're optimistic. So the date that we're allowed to announce now is October 9th, Saturday, October 9th. We're going to be doing all of our Ragdale in Schools stuff around then with these same artists. So when you buy a ticket for Novel Affair, it's not just about you getting to meet your favorite author, your favorite artist. It's about getting these people into schools in Waukegan, in North Chicago, in Lake Forest, in the city, and getting our young people who don't yet know that they are artists, who don't yet know that they are writers, connected with these people to let them know what kind of careers are possible for them. We're so excited. So I'm also allowed to announce who's coming. We are so lucky and grateful that almost all of our original slate of writers and artists who were going to come in 2020 is coming back, with just a couple of exceptions, and we have an incredible replacement for those. So first, I'm going to tell you about the ones who we already knew about, but you need a little reminder on. So we have Peter Orner, who is a native of Highland Park, actually. He's got a bunch of beautiful books. He won the Penn Hemingway Award. He wrote a modern love column a couple years ago that everyone was really into. That's for some people the way they know him. Chloe Benjamin, the author of The Immortalists. She's absolutely brilliant. I know you read that book, or at least everyone you know read that book. She's up in Madison, Wisconsin. She'll be coming down. Angie Kim, the author of Miracle Creek, which was an incredible debut a couple of years ago. One of the most, just that beautiful combination of a literary novel and a book club novel in one. Claire Lombardo, in that same note, literary and book club. Her debut was The Most Fun We Ever Had, which is set in a barely concealed Oak Park. So it was a really big Chicago novel. She's from Oak Park. She's not in Chicago anymore, but she's coming back for this. Bill Goldstein, who is the founding editor of the online book site of the New York Times. He's the NBC New York book guy. Anyone who's ever lived in New York and loved books knows this guy. He's working on a biography of the playwright Larry Kramer. He's absolutely brilliant and charming. Jean Hanff Korelitz, who I won't say anything else about because I'll be introducing her in a minute, and she's in conversation with us tonight. So I'm going to save my intro, but we're very excited. Mira Jacob, who is a novelist, memoirist, illustrator, cultural critic, graphic novelist, who is absolutely amazing. Her book, Good Talk, is just blew my mind. Hector Tobar, who is a Pulitzer-winning journalist, novelist, and nonfiction writer. His New York Times bestseller, Deep Down Dark, was about the Chilean miners, was adapted into the film The 33, starring Antonio Banderas. Roger Reeves, who used to live in Chicago, and we sadly lost him to Texas. He is one of the most brilliant poets working today. His debut poetry collection, King Me, won a Whiting Award and every other possible prize. Pachaya Supantad, whose debut novel Bangkok Wakes to Rain had writers everywhere just rolling on the floor in jealousy and admiration. And our addition to the slate is the musical composer, Andrea Clearfield. She is an award-winning composer of music for orchestra, opera, chorus, chamber ensemble, dance, multimedia. She has been praised by the New York Times for her graceful tracery and lively, rhythmically vital writing. She's pretty damn famous. And her works are performed widely, both nationally and internationally. So our hope is, we don't know exactly what the pairings are going to be for these dinners. And again, we're creatively flexible on exactly what this event will look like. But theoretically, the author pairings for dinners will involve conversations around their books. Andrea Clearfield's dinner might involve some kind of musical performance. We're going to see, but we are so excited that we can make this still happen, and in a, with a roster that is to die for in any year, let alone this one.
Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. So I know you gave the 30,000 foot overview of those artists. And you and Davis spoke about those artists, all of except for Andrea, last year at the preview party, and we recorded that, and it is on our YouTube channel. And so I'm going to put that into the chat. And so at your convenience, not now, but later, save that link. You can go and watch a beautiful discussion between Davis and Rebecca regarding those artists and kind of get up to speed. And so again, we will be sending out some early warning availability for these tickets when they are released to the people that have registered for this event. Now, if you didn't register for this event and someone sent you a link to this event, that's totally great. If you want to get on board with that, if you would like to make a donation to us and just put Novel Affair in the comments, we will add you to that list. And that's a donation of any amount will add you to that early warning list. And so you can't beat that, because I think, like Rebecca said, having these artists back to me is definitely about the opposite of a disappointment as you can get, because it's just a stellar group of people and so well curated by Rebecca and Jean Kwok and Charlie.
Lynch was the other one. Yeah.
Exactly. And so, we really want to try to make that one right. And then we can reset. And I think we're going to possibly move to our regular cadence of a spring Novel Affair in 2022. So it's going to be a short window. And we have a lot of work to do.
People better read fast.
Exactly. Read fast. Read over the holidays. Read when you're in the bathtub. Read everywhere.
Avoid your in-laws over the holidays and read a book.
Yes. And if you are local, you want to buy that book at Lake Forest Bookstore, of course.
Yes, please.
And I will be putting some links, like I promised earlier and didn't do. I will be putting links. So without further ado, want to get to this conversation with Jean. And so I will leave the screen and I will bring Jean on the screen. So see you soon.
See you soon.
Hey.
Hi, Jean. How are you?
I want to come to Novel Affair. It sounds so good.
Right? You're coming. That's the good news.
Right.
You get to come.
I love The Immortalists. I thought that was one of the books I read. I think I read it last year. I'm thrilled I get to meet Chloe Benjamin. Thrilled.
This was, the one time that I participated in Novel Affair as a writer was the last one we did in 2019. And it's just, you get to meet people and kind of geek out.
Everybody sounds fantastic. By the way, that video, Adam's Apple, that was
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
Wow.
Because you've been in residency at Ragdale, that you get to know people at the dinner table and they, you hear about their work, they seem great. And then usually sometime late in the residency, people say, oh yeah, can we do an open studio? Can I see your work? Could you read what you've been writing? And suddenly it's like, oh, I've been having dinner with geniuses. I knew but I didn't know it until...
Yeah, that only works for the other people. It doesn't work for us.
to actually introduce you to people who don't
Okay.
know. And I need to say, so Jean is a fiction writer and novelist living in New York City. I've known Jean since, I think, 1999, which is a very long time. We, at that point, I didn't have a book out. I think you had maybe a couple.
Yeah, I was working on my second novel that summer.
That sounds about right. Jean's husband, the poet Paul Muldoon, who's Pulitzer-winning poet, was the poetry editor of The New Yorker, was one of my professors in grad school. And it was a grad school environment in which we all got to know each other quite well because we were isolated on a mountain. And I got to know Jean and have stayed in touch ever since. And so is it your 7th novel that's coming out in May?
Number 7, right.
Amazing. So Jean is the person, Jean's novels are the ones that I will recommend or send to really, really smart literary friends when they need a page turner. It's this sweet spot of, right? Like, I'm not going to send them like a Dan Brown novel. God bless, but I'm not. That's
No,
I'm not going to send them that, right? It's the page turner that's also really brainy, really literary, really beautifully done. And I kind of want to hit on your last 3 books.
Okay.
Because yeah. So what I want to do is kind of go chronologically and say the reason I want to back up 3 books and talk about The Devil and Webster, which is one of my favorite of your books, is that this is the one you worked on at Ragdale, right?
That's right. I can't remember which winter it was. It was about 4 or 5 years ago. And I arrived in January, and I'm a nervous flyer. So, and it was a particularly horrible flight. And somehow in that 1 hour from New York to Chicago, I did something horrible to my back out of sheer fear, I think, and the cold. So my time at Ragdale was characterized by 2 things. One, just an amazing run of work on this book, but also every couple of days I would limp down the road to into Lake Forest, where there was a very good chiropractor who, over the 2 or 3 weeks that I was there, put me back together. So I have very fond memories. Very, very cold day in Lake Forest.
Yeah. Well, and that book, I could talk about that book and reread that book all day. It's about, a really well-meaning college president who, was an activist back in the day, and then things on this college campus just get completely out of hand in a way that she can't control.
She sort of wakes up like Gregor Samsa to discover that she's the man. I mean, she has become the pig, basically. And she's the enemy of all of these idealistic students that she still identifies with. And they now include her own daughter, who's a student at the university. So it's a horrific situation involving a professor of color who is denied tenure for some very good reasons. But
that's not what the students
are up in arms
and
say why he's being denied tenure because of privacy. And she's really in a tough situation. And to make matters worse, there's a young student activist who has them all in thrall. And he's incredibly charismatic. He's a Palestinian student. And and I will say no more, but the weird thing is, after it was published, people started saying, "Oh, it's the identity politics novel," and I had never heard the term identity politics.
Oh my God.
Said this to me. I think I was in a TV interview, and I must have looked like I had no idea what they were talking about. But I never heard the term before. I guess I must have thought deeply about what the ideas were, but I never heard the term before.
I love it. Well, you were tapped into the zeitgeist without necessarily having paid attention to.
Well, I'm a faculty spouse at Princeton. I have been since the 1980s.
Right.
Although only 25 years at that time was actually spent living in Princeton. We're now in New York, and my husband's commuting. But I feel like I've had a front page or a front seat view of what's happening on college campuses. I love college campuses. I love writing about college. I wrote Admission, which was set at Princeton.
I was about to say, for people who don't know the more recent books, the novel Admission was made into the movie with Tina Fey and Paul Rudd.
Quite a different
wonderful novel. Very different movie than the book, for sure.
Yeah. But for me, it's very. It's fascinating to watch. I seem to be fixated on this moment where young people leave their homes and go and form a society together. Well, I mean, you live on a prep school, so it must be different for you. But yeah, it was an important moment for me, and I watched my kids go through it, and I just love what happens when smart, ambitious, complicated young people suddenly shed their parents and go and live together, and all these really interesting and sometimes quite destructive things happen.
Yeah. So then, one of the things that I love the most about that book and about all of your books is that you finesse a plot twist like nobody else, where, maybe we realize it ahead of the characters, maybe we don't, but things are just pulled out from under us. That happened in the Double and Webster, that happens in Admission. And then with your novel, You Should Have Known, which is the one that became the HBO series, The Undoing, you're doing something almost different with it, where from very early on, I think we know more than the character, right? The dramatic irony, but maybe not, but for many readers, you kind of go, okay. So the main thing I want to talk to you about here, and maybe as a way into the novel for people who haven't read it, but maybe have been aware of the HBO series or have seen that. I feel like the difference between that book and that series is such a highlight on both ends of what the novel can do that the screen can't do.
That's a really interesting way to put it. Yeah.
Right?
I have nothing but respect for David E. Kelley. I've been watching his work since I was a young person. I am a huge fan. And when he said to me after he optioned the book, we're casting Hugh Grant as the husband. I mean, what that said to me was the husband is going to be a big part of the story. And in my novel, he's barely there because it's not about him. It's not.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but because it's been a little while since I read the novel, but my memory of the novel is that the main character, the point of view character, is remembering him and thinking about him and many other things, but I don't know that we ever meet him in scene.
No, you never do. I mean, with every draft, I took him out more and more until we were literally down to a text message for reasons of plot had to stay there. But if I could have taken that out, I would too, because I wasn't interested in who did it. It was pretty obvious. I mean, it was a done deal. Who did it. I was interested in, as Alanis Morissette would say, the mess you left when you went away. What happens when you have this incredibly strong and capable and sort of famously competent woman whose job is actually to tell other people how to live their lives? I mean, what's the hubris of that? Who is so wrong about everything that she thinks she knows, hence the title. So when he said this is really going to be more of a, like a whodunit, I said, oh, how interesting, But it was interesting. It was it was fascinating, and I didn't know who did it because though they were kind enough to send me the first 5 episodes, they would do the 6th one, and I knew better than to ask. I mean, it was very, very of that. I didn't know, what was going to happen until everybody else found out at the same time.
I was really, having read the novel and then much more recently watched the series, by a few minutes into the 2nd episode, I'm going, oh, left.
Oh, the weird thing is you get so confused. And my husband said to me, was the lawyer like that in your book? And I said,
no lawyer.
There was no lawyer in my book. There was no trial in my book because there was no Jonathan in my book.
Right.
But that's okay. I mean, it's adaptation is its own art form. I don't just say that. I really believe it. And I was very happy with it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was terrific. And the clothes were fantastic.
that green coat that she
You
wears.
know what? The first time I saw a picture of that coat,
Ah.
we were filming, I said, it's going to be all about that coat.
Oh
That's
my
gonna be
God.
the coat and the hair. And later, when I was able to visit the set when they were filming in that unbelievable mansion, okay, the coat, the hair, and the house.
I was almost tempted to look up the coat to be like, could I get a coat like that? And then I was like,
well, people were knocking it off, but the person designer actually made that coat for her.
Really?
I would like to say that I have touched that coat. I have touched it. It feels like a carpet. I mean, no normal woman could have worn that. And
oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
One of the things I genuinely love about that particular adaptation is that you could watch that and then read the book, or you could read the book and then watch it. Neither one is going to spoil the other in any way.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to think of it. Another not so good way to think of it is, which if you read your reviews, which you should never, ever do, but I'm an idiot and I do, they say things like, why isn't the husband here? And, it's so slow. I'm always being told that my novels are too slow. Even the new one is being told it's a slow burn. Apparently, this is
it's not
a book slow, but I feel like my books are like roller coasters, and if we all remember roller coasters, they don't start with a big, you start with you climb up to the top, and then all hell breaks loose, and that's the way I like it. And I have a lot of stuff to put in place before I knock it all down, and
and you're able to do psychological tension. And this is a strength of the page, right? This is a strength of interiority, of the first person, of text, that this can do psychological realism, and film can do a helicopter chase. And that's great.
That's right. That's a really good way to put it, actually. I mean, I'm always interested in what's going on in people's heads.
Yeah.
Especially when, as you put it yourself, the reader may know more than the character.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, and then speaking of, you brought up your new book, The Plot, which comes out in
May 11th.
May 11th. Oh my God.
Close. It's almost here.
I got to read it early. I'm very, very lucky and privileged. I loved it, as you know, but I have to tell everybody else. I feel like I'm going to butcher it if I kind of try to give the little elevator pitch. Do you have it down? Do you want to tell us what it's about?
I don't, but I'd like to try. I can try it out.
Try it. Yeah.
This, in a weird way, this is a novel for writers, and it's been really rewarding to see some of the early response, and people who love books and who love, reading about writers seem to be really, really happy with it. But in a weird way, this one's for us, because it's full of the things that we are obsessed with, like plagiarism. I mean, I've never met a writer who isn't fixated on plagiarism, and I have a theory about why that is. But it's about, deep down, who owns a story? What do we get to tell? And with some of the ideas around appropriation right now, that's ever more white hot in terms of controversy. But in essence, this is a novel about a failed writer. And we all know failure, whether it's far back or whether it's today. I mean, I remember vividly, how great it was to get every single novel that I wrote, my early novels, rejected all over the world. It's about a failed writer who does something he shouldn't do. I'm not convinced that what he does is wrong.
I'm not either.
Probably shouldn't have done it. And what that thing is he takes a story that was told to him by a student. The student has this amazing story. The student is a real jerk. So he's about the last person you'd want to have this wonderful story to tell. But it's his story. But then he dies. And he dies without having written his book. And this writer, his teacher, feels this kind of incredible power of this story, and he feels a responsibility to this story, and he writes his own book with this plot. He steals not one word. He's barely seen any writing from the guy, but whatever he's seen, he avoids. So it's his novel, but it's not really his story in the same way that, Ulysses doesn't really belong to James Joyce. It came from Homer.
Right.
The Lion King came from Hamlet. I mean, this is something that happens in the world of ideas and writing. Yeah. And yet he's plagued with not exactly guilt, but terror. He's terrified that his book, which becomes a massive success, is going to destroy his life because he's afraid that somebody knows what he did, and somebody does. And they're very, very, very unhappy about it. And they begin to torment him, this mysterious person. So it really becomes a race to find out who this person is and what their relationship is to this story. And, after the slow burn portion, it really doesn't stop until the end. And I would say that it, some of the people in the earlier reviews have said, I figured it out, but I was still really excited to see what would happen.
Right.
All I have to say to those people is, you people are good, because I would never have figured this out.
I think I figured it out but only just barely ahead of when it was.
Yeah.
Sort of
it was very gratifying to get a text message from my daughter, basically shrieking at me through this. Oh my God! Is this it? Is that? Oh. So I definitely fooled her. So
I love it. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I was going to say. So you, speaking of your daughter, you have this incredibly creative family. That obviously you're married to a poet. Your daughter is an incredibly creative person, and I can't remember exactly what she's doing career-wise right now, but your son is doing off-Broadway musical tours.
Yeah, well, he was on the Dear Evan Hansen tour when the shutdown happened. They were out in Salt Lake City, and he called me and said they've called a meeting, and I said, this is it, get a plane ticket.
Yeah,
because I had been telling him for weeks this was going to happen. Yeah. But yeah, so he left college to join the national tour of Dear Evan Hansen, and it was absolutely the right thing for him to do. But we're happy that he's back in school now. We don't know what's going to happen. My daughter is a interior designer, and she also just is writing songs and recording songs. And there was one wonderful day about 6 months ago when I was writing this book. Oh, I have it here. I held it up. This is
there we go. That's it.
I was writing, my husband was downstairs writing, and then at separate times during the day, my son sent me a song that he was working on because he also writes musical theater. And my daughter sent me a song she was working on. And I just thought, I'm just the luckiest person on the planet.
Yeah.
Of course, everybody needs to eat. You need to support yourself. But I love that they're both young and they're both movers.
Yeah. I relate to, I have, my kids are significantly younger. They're only 10 and 13.
You're significantly younger than I am. Don't forget that.
I'm only 22. It's amazing. But just this, that's the family I have. And it's the family. My dad was a poet. My sister's a musician. It's sort of just this, everyone's making stuff.
Yeah.
I've always been so grateful for me that I grew up in a family where when I said I want to be a writer, it was not, no, you need to eat.
Yeah, so
and I think that, I know that's what you have in your family. And I feel like that just with Ragdale, that sense, I think sometimes we get people coming to Ragdale who are, sometimes it's people at the top of their careers, but sometimes it's people early enough in their careers. This might be the first time they've been immersed with just other writers, other artists, other musicians every day. In that sense that I think you and I might take for granted in the best possible way. Yeah. Because of our family, because of who we live with, because
we get other things out of it, like the peace, the quiet, I've always really been energized by the knowledge that people all around me are working really hard. That makes me want to work really hard too. And you guys were talking before about, the convening over meals, and that's really important too, because these are very solitary pursuits that we're involved in. And you really, for your sanity, you need to have that interchange at the end of the day. That's super important. I feel badly for the people who are there now who don't get the fellowship around the table at night. but we'll be back to that.
We're finding each other in other ways, especially as it gets warmer. Even if it's two people, you're finding a way. But I have to say, like every residency I've been to, this thing happens to me where I get there, maybe it's 11 a.m. and I get settled in my room, and I kind of it's a long afternoon, and I'm poking at my computer and going, "Why? I don't know what I'm doing here." And then you meet everyone that night, you get to know their work, and from then on, it's that sense you feel everyone working around you, feel like you're part of a beehive.
Yeah.
And it's just, you feed off the energy, you start having these conversations at night, and you're not going to go on your computer and just go on Twitter.
Even though we love Twitter.
Sure, it's great.
Love Twitter.
One of my fondest memories at Ragdale is the writer Eric May had a room next to me a couple of years ago, and he asked me if it was. And he was like, "If you hear it, is it okay?" And I was like, "I love it." He, at the end of every day, he would pace around his room reading aloud to himself everything he'd written that day, and he has this beautiful baritone voice. And I'd be sitting there, and I just hear this kind of a rumble of like, "Oh, Eric got his work done today." And it was most amazing, I loved it. So we're so glad that you are coming back for Novel Affair.
Oh, wait, I was ready to come.
I know.
Pandemic.
Yeah.
And, it was the last thing that I took off my calendar. And it was the first thing I put back on my calendar. So
yeah, we're going to have a good time. We're going to have a really good time. Jean, thank you so much. And I've just been between going back and watching The Undoing and then reading the plot. I feel like I've been living in your head for a while.
You have been, and it's been very uncomfortable.
It's been great.
Okay.
It's good to talk to you from outside your head. And thank you so much.
Bye, Rebecca.
Bye.
Yay. That was great. Yes, so that was a mini Ragdale Talks. And so this is what we've been doing since last year. And it's good to have another edition. And like I mentioned earlier, we have 4 coming up that are already booked. They're going to be live in the Ragdale Ring. And I would highly recommend, we didn't spend much time talking about the Ragdale Ring, but you can find out more about it in the link that I just posted in the chat. The winner of the design competition, Almost Studio from Brooklyn, New York, will be in town next month to actually do the design build installation residency. And hey, Dina, yes, thanks, Dina. Good to see you. I love that icon on your YouTube channel. Yes, and so read up on that and all of the other various things. And so this was fun. We had a lot of good time.
This was amazing. Like, eventually we'll be in person again. But the thing about these virtual events is, we know we have Ragdale alumni all over the world and Ragdale supporters all over the world. It's great to be able to reach people wherever they are. So I know we have, maybe a little less ambiance, but a broader scope with things like this.
Absolutely. And this is being recorded and will be on our YouTube channel. And so, as always, please subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on Instagram, like us on Facebook, do all the things in social media world so that you can stay in tune with what we're doing, because we've been doing a lot, but we're about to ramp up to a more serious level safely. And so I'm sure everyone is excited about that. And we would love to see all of your bright, shiny faces at Ragdale this summer and beyond. And hopefully we can get past all of this mess that we're still trying to process. But this event definitely put a smile on my face tonight. So we thank you all for joining. We ran a little bit long, but I think the content was worth it. So thank you all. Any final words, Rebecca?
You know what? Everyone here probably already loves Ragdale. So I probably don't need to convince you to, but remember Ragdale right now. Let's, it's a good time to show some love. I'm glad you're here, and we're going to keep things going and hit the ground running when everyone's back.
Absolutely. Cheers to that. Thank you so much, Rebecca. You are a tireless advocate of Ragdale and are so generous with your time, and it's just amazing to see. And so I want to thank you publicly for that.
Sweet. Thank you.
Hey, Regin. All right. Okay, everyone. We'll see you in May one more time virtually, and then we're going to see you live hopefully after that. So we love you all. Stay safe, take care, and we will see you soon. All right. Bye-bye.